Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And if you haven't, please consider liking and subscribing. So, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I recorded a video about the simp economy. And one of the things that I do a lot of, and I don't know if many of you out there do this, but I do a lot of self-reflection. And I listen to my recordings sometimes a couple times over. And while I would edit them more, to be honest with you, with my limited resources, I find that difficult to do. I don't agree 100% with the final product, but at any rate, so I do listen to them and I largely agree with the final product. But one of the things that when I was listening to the simp economy recording and that video, I don't know that I fully explored the topic in a way that kind of does it justice. So one of the things that I think fuels that simp economy is particularly we're raised to be accommodating, right? We're raised to be largely, men are providers, we are problem solvers, and by nature we do that anyway. I mean, it's part of being a man, is solving problems and making things work and getting stuff to, keeping stuff moving. So that's I think, genetically encoded in every man, or most men. And so I think feminism takes advantage of that good-naturedness of man, right? So, the whole chivalry thing, it gets turned on its head through feminism. But in the end, men want to be chivalrous. We want to, protect women, protect our families, make sure that people who are, let's say, underdogs aren't trampled by bullies and so on. I mean, I think that's largely the case for most men. And it's something that I think gets used against us in our society to a large extent by imposing things on men that are very deleterious on men, whether that's things like unfettered immigration or affirmative action, the idea that women can be police officers and firefighters and soldiers, which I think is nonsensical. And while it's, I guess you could debate whether or not women could do these jobs all day long. The fact of the matter is, we never stop and ask, should they be doing these jobs? I'm sure there are women who could work on oil rigs, and I'm sure there are some who do, a very small minority. But we should ask, should they be doing these jobs? Are they suited for them? And that's where I think, the male psyche gets turned against us, right? So you shouldn't be asking those questions. You should be supporting things like equality of outcomes. And that's the problem. Too many men just go along with that, particularly, and this is probably for a different video, different recording, different video, but I think this is a large part of, an outgrowth of boomerism in this equality of outcomes. And the fact of the matter is that, we're not all equal. We'll never be equal. Certainly there are plenty of people who are better looking than me, smarter than me, richer than me. There's no such thing in this world today as equality. There wasn't 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. And there won't be 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, 10,000 years from now, if the human race lasts that long. we're not equal. We'll never be equal. And that's just a simple fact of life. And I don't think God ever intended us to be equal. That misses the point of what we're trying to accomplish as a civilization, right? We all have a role to fill, and we should be happy with that role. It's, I guess, akin to having a successful baseball team, right? Some people are just better hitters. Some people are better fielders. Some people are, can be pitchers. Some can't. Some can't be catchers. I mean, that's just the nature of things. Some people are better at certain things than others. And women are not cut out to be, I think, police officers, firefighters, and so on. So how does this get back to the simp economy? So in the last video, I discussed how there are enablers, male enablers of all these things, and there have been since the beginning, right? The 19th Amendment came about because of male enablers. And I'm sure that there were lots of these guys who were cajoled and bullied by their women at home who finally succumbed and said, yes, we should give women the right to vote. And that has slowly been the undoing of American society ever since. Women in positions of power, not because women are inherently evil or bad or have bad intentions, but because they too often succumb to the impulse to, support things that ultimately are self-destructive to Western civilization. And they get preyed upon through their emotions because women are largely emotional creatures. I'm sure that if there were women listening to these podcasts, recordings, they would scream at what I'm saying. And that's largely because they're emotional. They're not going to debate me on the facts or the merits because frankly, they can't. And that gets to the crux of the situation, right? Men are largely rational and women are emotional creatures. And there's a reason for that, right? They have to nurture children and, support their families and so on. And emotion's a big part of that, right? Where men have a different role to fill. And again, it gets back to roles, gender roles, professional roles, and so on. So at any rate, I just wanted to explain a little bit more about what I was talking about and exploring this whole idea of the simp economy and where it's taking us. I think the next one I might consider doing is exploring the boomerism and how it's destroyed Western civilization and continues to, frankly. We have boomers who have no business being anywhere near the levers of power. And, this goes for anybody on the American side in the uniparty, and I know the English probably feel the same way. I'm sure most of Europe does. They have no business being near the levers of power, particularly with, if you look at these creatures like Biden and Trump, you have to wonder if there's not an evil streak in them. At any rate, that's a video for a different day. I thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. And if you like this content, let me know. And Lord knows I can do plenty more of it. Thank you, and I will see you down the road.